A very warm good morning to all of you. Today's news analysis is brought to you by Saikul. India's top military chief among 13 killed in Air Force helicopter crash. India's top military official was killed on Wednesday when an Indian Air Force helicopter carrying 14 people crashed in southern India. The Indian Air Force confirmed with only one survivor. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat died at the age of 63, along with his wife Madhulika Rawat, who were president of AWWA Army Wives Welfare Association, and 11 more military personnel. The Indian Air Force said via Twitter he had been in the post for almost 2 years. The Russian-made Mi-17 V5 helicopter, which had a crew of 4, crashed near Coonoor in Tamil Nadu state while en route from Sulur to the town of Wellington in Tamil Nadu. The helicopter was already making its descents and would have landed in 10 more minutes. It came down around 10 km from the nearest road, forcing emerging workers to trek to the accident site. Reports of the crash emerged around 12:20 p.m. yesterday. General Bipin Rawat took charge as India's first Chief of Defence Staff in January 2019. The position was set up with the aim integrating the three services, also called tri-services, that is, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. A former Army Chief, General Bipin Rawat, was also appointed the head of the newly created Department of Military Affairs. Many former Army chiefs expressed grief. They described the Mi-17 double-engine chopper is a very stable aircraft used for VVIP flights. The only lone survivor, Squadron Captain Varun Singh, who was rescued from the crash site with 80% burn injuries, is battling for life in Army Hospital, Wellington. Preliminary reports said that the weather was bad in Coonoor, which might have caused the mishap. Fire service, defense, and police personnel were pressed into rescue operation. In the 2021 Test Series, Pakistan's White House of the Bangladesh via 2-0. The Pakistan cricket team clinched the two-match Test Series 2-0 against Bangladesh in their own den to solidify their positions in the ICC World Test Championship points table. The Babar Azam-led side went past the Bangladesh resistance in the last season on day 5. At the back of spinner Sajid Khan's brilliant spell to force a win. Reaction poured from all around the Pakistan cricket camp as players, including Babar, congratulated the squad of ensuring a whitewash of the home team in both the T20I as well as the Test series. Pakistan skipper Babar Azam congratulated the pack on the stupendous Test series win. He picked out Sajid Khan and applauded his brilliant effort of 12 wickets in the match and said, "What a performance from my pack. Kept on believing till the end." Special mention to Sajid. He surely made it the one of remember for himself and team. Earlier also, Pakistan's defeated Bangladesh in the Test series via 3-0. At the 5th edition of the Indian Mobile Congress, Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani delivered the keynote speech. In his speech, Ambani touched on the significant role of technology in various walks of life. Indians have embraced technology with unbridled optimism, said Ambani. He also shared 5 ideas that could shape connectivity for all. Ambani said that India must complete the migration from 2G to 4G to 5G at the earliest to keep millions of Indians at the bottom of the socio-economic pyramid confined to 2G is to deprive them of the benefits of the digital revolution, he said in his keynote speech. Ambani spoke about how the rollout of 5G should be India's national priority and how Jio is focused on 4G and 5G execution and broadband infrastructure expansion. We have developed a 100% homegrown and comprehensive 5G solution which is fully cloud native and digitally managed, said by Ambani. The Reliance Industries chairman said that India should not lose sight of the fact that affordability has been a critical driver of the phenomenally rapid expansion of the mobile subscriber base in India. India should move towards great digital exclusion and not greater digital exclusion. He further said that the India needs to ensure affordability not only of services but also of devices and applications. The best way of ensuring comprehensive affordability is nimble adoption of futuristic technologies and supportive policy. Tools like use of the USO fund for purposes other than services. USO fund can be used to subsidize devices to select target groups, he added. Ambani also said that India should work on ubiquitous fiber connectivity on a mission mode. He said that for the India to be future ready, it has to be fiber ready. If all the players in the industry work together, we can rapidly achieve a nationwide footprint of fiber. Just as we reached mobile telephony to every corner of the country in the last decade, he said. India develops AESA Radar, that is Active Electronically Scanned Array, to make Indian Air Force fighters more lethal. Project Director D. Sesagiri of Electronics and Radar Development established LRDE, that is, confirmed this and said that the developed AESA radar is 95% indigenous with only one important subsystem. Later this month, the Indian Air Force will demonstrate the use of an indigenously developed active electronically scanned array AESA radar that I earlier mentioned, making India one of the few countries to have an indigenous force multiplier that lies at the heart of electronic warfare, long-range missiles and long-distance precision guided ammunition. Project Director D. Sesagiri of Electronics and Radar Development Establishment confirmed this and said that the developed AESA radar is 95% indigenous. It has the capacity to track 50 targets in the sky at a range in excess of 100 km and engage 4 of them simultaneously. In the next 5 years, all 83 of Indian Air Force Tejas Mark IA fighters will have this radar, as will the future twin-engine AMCA fighter developed by the Aeronautical Development Agency. The AESA radar will be mounted on the radar cone of Su-30 MKI aircraft as well as carrier-based MiG-29K fighters of the Indian military. According to Sesagiri, already the LRDE has signed on MOU with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for being the head integrator of the radar on the Tejas MiG-IA with 4 identified vendors including Bell being the suppliers of key subsystems. The National Flight Testing Center, which is manned by Indian Air Force, has already green-lighted the radar after successful performance tests. Union Minister of State for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions Jitendra Singh on Monday said that the Department of Personnel and Training has approved the appointment of 38 candidates for the first batch of lateral entry to various posts in the Indian Civil Service. It includes 10 joint secretaries. Union Public Service Commission, that is UPSC, had earlier recommended candidates from the private sector and public sector undertakings to join the government on a contract or deputation basis. The Union Ministry said the lateral entry process has the twin objectives of bringing fresh talent and augmenting the manpower at certain levels in the central government. Singh said that the credit goes to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for institutionalizing the selection process and making it more objective by handing over the entire process to the UPSC. The Union Minister said that the DOPT requested the UPSC on December 14, 2020 and February 12, 2021 to select suitable persons to join the government at the level of Joint Secretary, Director and Deputy Secretary in various ministries and departments of the Government of India on contract or deputation basis. Based on the online application forms submitted by the candidates, the UPSC shortlisted 231 candidates for the interviews, from which only 38 candidates were selected. The COVID-19 pandemic has driven down the power of Asian giants like China and India in the Indo-Pacific region and has weakened their capacity to shape the external environment, the Lowy Institute said in a report. The report said that while leading Asian countries witnessed a decline in influence, the US managed to expand its power through better diplomacy and retained its position as the most influential nation in the region. In its Asian Power Index for 2021, which ranks 26 nations and territories, the Sydney-based Lowy Institute said that China's measure of power fell as the country wrestled with structural weaknesses in its demographics and financial system and become more isolationist. According to the report, China lost ground in half of the index measured of power in 2021 from diplomatic and cultural influence to economic capacity and future resources. India, which is the fourth most powerful country in the region after USA, Japan and China, was among the hardest hit nations in comparison to its pre-COVID growth paths. The report said that India saw a loss of ranking in critical parameters like diplomatic influence and economic relationships in the last 1 year. India, however, retained the fourth place in other measures of power such as economic capability, military capability, resilience, and cultural influence. Compared to Asian powers, US gained more influence in the continent this year due to President Joe Biden's administration brokering better diplomatic relationships and a speedy recovery from the pandemic with the help of vaccinations. An international coalition of more than 300 scientists working in the fields of psychology, technology and health have published an open letter to Mark Zuckerberg asking the Meta CEO to open his company's door to outside researchers who need to investigate the effects of Facebook and Instagram on child and teen mental health. The letter was written in response to internal documents leaked to the Wall Street Journal by whistleblower. Frances Hogan. Internal research by Meta found that 1 in 3 teen girls said using Instagram made them feel worse about their bodies. The open letter published Monday says that although the research leaked by Hogan doesn't definitively prove Meta's platforms have an adverse effect on teen and child mental health, the issues at stake are too serious for the company to keep its research behind closed doors. The letter also says that based on the limited public information about Meta's research techniques, its internal studies aren't thorough enough. We have only a fragmented picture of the studies their companies are conducting. The letter to Zuckerberg says, we do not believe that the methodologies seen so far meet the high scientific standards requirements to responsibly investigate the mental health of children and adolescents. It continues, you and your organization have an ethical and moral obligation to align your internal research on children and adolescents with establishment standards for evidences in mental health science, written in the letter. So, finally, we came to the end. Thank you so much. And the information was collected through the Google